I want to talk to a specific woman today. She's faithful. She's shown up for her family, her church, her marriage, her community for decades. She's been the one who made sure that everybody else was okay. She served, sacrificed, given, loved with a consistency that most people can only admire from the outside. And somewhere in the last few years, she stopped dreaming. Not in a moment she could point to. It happened gradually, the way a fire goes from burning to embers to ash, without anyone really noticing exactly when the warmth left the room. If that description lands anywhere close to home, stay with me, because today I want to talk about why this happens and why it's not your fault and what the path back to your own life actually looks like. Let me tell you what I've observed after 40 years of pastoral counseling and life design work with women exactly in this season. The women who stop dreaming almost never make a conscious decision to do so. It's not a choice, it's more like an accumulation. It starts early. See, most women with deep faith backgrounds are formed in communities that honor sacrifice and service and living for others, and those are great values. I'm not questioning those. But somewhere in that formation, a subtle message gets attached to those values. A message that was never stated, but it's absorbed nonetheless, and the message is this: your desires are suspect. Not sinful necessarily, but suspect, a warning sign, something to be examined carefully before being trusted, something that will pull you away from what you're supposed to be doing for everyone else. And so you learn early and very effectively to set your desires aside. You become extraordinarily good at identifying the needs of others, and you become much less fluent in identifying what you need and asking for it. It's not a weakness. In many ways, it's a form of strength, a trained responsiveness to the people around you that did produce your decades of faithful and meaningful service. But it has a cost. The cost is that the muscle for dreaming, the capacity to sit with your own desires and hold them without guilt and build something from them, atrophies after years of not using them. And then seasons change. Kids grow up, roles shift. The calendar opens up in ways it hasn't for 30 years, and suddenly there's space, real space for something of your own, and your muscle isn't there. I want to name something directly. There's a theological lie embedded in the formation of many faithful Christian women. It's never stated as a lie. It sounds like wisdom or humility, even faithfulness. And it's this: wanting something for yourself is at best a distraction and at worst selfishness. And I want to dismantle that with the actual text of Scripture. Psalm 37:4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Now, most people read that as a promise about fulfillment. God will give you what you want if you love Him enough. It's not what it says in the Hebrew. The word translated give means to put in place, to set, to originate. God gives the desires. He places them. They don't originate with your selfishness. They originate with Him. The desire you carry, the one that's been quiet for years, the one you've been feeling guilty about, the one that is bubbling up now, but you try to quickly bury it, that desire was placed in you by God. It's not a departure from faith. It's a fingerprint of the one who made you. Ephesians 2:10 says you were created for good works that God prepared in advance. He prepared, already there, already waiting. Text doesn't say your good works are all behind you. It says there are still some prepared in advance. They are still ahead of you. Matthew 25, the servant who buried his talent in the ground, not out of selfishness, but fear, he wasn't praised. See, God is honored by expansion, not diminishment, by the full use of what He's given, not the careful hiding of it. Your desire to dream again is not ingratitude, it's not selfishness, and it's not a midlife crisis. It's the right response to gifts that have not yet been fully used. Let me tell you about a woman, I'll just call her Susan, 57 years old, pastor's wife for 29 years. If you know that church world, you know what that means, the expectations, the visibility, the way your life becomes in many ways a public offering to the congregation. And she was gracious about it. She loved the people she served. But she said something that really struck me. She said, I've not had a thought about my own life in 20 years that didn't immediately get filtered through what it would mean for everyone else. 20 years of automatic self-editing, 20 years of evaluating her desires through the lens of their impact on others before she was even willing to acknowledge them as her own. When she was asked what she always wanted, not what she'd done, not what she was good at, not what others needed, But what she had always wanted, she went quiet. And then she said, I want to paint. I studied art before seminary, before the ministry, before the marriage, and before the congregation. In 29 years of ministry, I used to paint. She was asked when she had last picked up a brush, and she said, the day we moved into our first parsonage, I put them in a box in the garage. I thought I'd get back to painting when things settled down. And things never settled down. By working through the dream design process, what emerged was not just permission to paint, it was a vision for how the particular combination of pastoral wisdom and artistic sensibility and 30 years of watching people navigate spiritual formation could become something genuinely new and creative, something that was hers in a way that nothing had been for decades. So she began painting, and she's leading women in ministry who are quietly disappearing the same way she was. She almost didn't do the dream design framework. She almost said she was fine. So how does a woman in this season start dreaming again? Well, not by trying harder, not by reading more books about purpose, not by waiting until she feels ready or worthy or certain enough. The path back to dreaming starts with one thing: permission, real permission, not intellectual acknowledgement that it's maybe okay. Permission that goes all the way down, that reaches the place where the desire lives, and it tells it, you're safe to surface and you're not selfish. You're not a departure from faithfulness. You're exactly what was placed here on purpose by God. That permission rarely comes from inside alone, because that voice tells you that your desires have been suspect. That voice is louder. It comes from a guided process. This is how you reclaim the voice. From the right questions being asked at the right time by the right guide in the right environment. From a room where other people are doing the same work, naming their desires out loud, holding them without apology, discovering that restlessness with the thought is not just unique with them. This is what changes things. Not just motivation or information, but permission in a room designed for this work. On June 27th, Karen and I are opening our home here in Southern California to a small group of men and women who are ready to do exactly this kind of work. And I want to speak directly to the woman who's been faithful for so long that she's forgotten what it felt like to want something for herself. This day is for you. You'll arrive to coffee and warmth and a room full of people who understand exactly where you are, because they are there too. Karen is involved the whole day, not as a program element, but she's my genuine partner in this work, a woman who's walked alongside other women through exactly this season for 3 decades. By the close of the day, you'll leave with a written dream design, a tangible document where your desires are named, your resilience is mapped, your experience is inventoried, abilities identified, and meaning clarified, and a next chapter that's genuinely yours. The link is in the description. Read what the day looks like. If this is right, reserve your spot, because we're opening it only for 12 people, and once it's full, it's full. June 27th. You've been faithful a long time. You've shown up for everyone who needed you. The desires God placed in you before any of those roles existed, they're still there. They've been patient. They've been waiting. It's not too late to let them speak. I'll see you next time.